Hello, everyone, and welcome to another lab in information systems. So, whenever I discuss with some business professionals, especially mid level managers, it seems that a lot of things that they do get consumed with, or their time get consumed with a lot of emails. Um, we're not saying that it is not part of their job, but we're talking about how sometimes to manage, let's say, one transaction or one task, they would have to receive and send multiple emails. So the communication can get a little bit long until they achieve one thing. That being said, how can you make the job of, business professionals, especially, like team leaders, department directors, department chairs, and so on, like more efficient by reducing this, let's say, unneeded amount of emails and communication? Can we automate that for better efficiency? And the Power platform offers a very cool solution. Now, let's assume, for example, and I'm sure that most of you used SharePoint before, that you have a certain SharePoint for your department. As you can see, for example, I have for the College of Business, for the different groups I'm part of, and so on. I created one. It's not showing up here. Let's create a, here it is, is.org. I'm gonna create a new one. So I'm gonna create a new site in SharePoint, and I'm gonna choose the communication site. Now, just to let you know that I am now using the um my school credentials. The reason is that the application I'm planning to use, which is, or the solution we're trying to use, is Power Automate. It is free, so it comes with bundled with other things that the school paid for. The other stuff what we used previously doesn't necessarily comes with the license that our campus has. So what I was trying to say, right? So say that you work for a department, for a unit, even for an organization, maybe a small, medium-sized organization, and you leverage SharePoint to organize files and share documents and among your team. Maybe the team is virtual. So I'm doing something quite similar. So I mean, I already created one when I was testing this, but let's create a new site on SharePoint. And this is uwrsharepoint.com. And I simply clicked on create a site. And I will use the communication site. So the communication site allow you and your team to create portals, subject specific sites, engage viewers, few content authors, and it's really a cool platform to share content. We use it heavily here on campus, and I'm sure that most of you use it in your organizations. All right, so create a communication site. I'm gonna call this is.org and make it underscore test. Right. So this is the name of the SharePoint. Um, and this is the URL. Let me just zoom better here. This is the URL. This is the name of the site. It is the full um, link. I can add descriptions. I'm just whatever description on your side. Of course, create site of your own. Um, add a description, and then you can add a classification or not. I'm just gonna add low impact, and really that's it. So I'm gonna copy this as well because I'm gonna need this, the address for the SharePoint site. So I'm going to copy it. Just put it on one of those tabs for now. Hit finish. All right. So this is my new site. I'm going to, I mean, the goal is not to work on SharePoint per se. But if this is the first time you work with SharePoint, it's quite straightforward. You would have the home, let's say, page, and then you have a tab for documents, tab for pages, site content. You can edit the site as well. Think about it as a mini website for your unit, um, department, or organization. So what I want is, let's say, what I noticed that sometimes I work with people, and or when I discuss business issues with some of uh, the let's say practitioners that I collaborate with or work with, um, that people tend to sometimes keep uploading stuff, right? That may not be meaningful, and that will create a lot of headache and effort trying to clean it up later on. So, what my plan here is to do first, I have this site, right? I'm sharing it with multiple people. And then if somebody would upload a document to this site, I want to get a notification of approving this document to be posted or not. Right? So think about this. If you have a knowledge management platform and you want people to share, for example, manuals, some information that they have about their work, so others in other, let's say, units, or um, maybe somebody who's new to the organization can review those documents and get up to speed. Maybe this is something you would share with your partners, clients, and so on. But I don't want anybody to be able to upload to this site. I want first to get a notification, because I'm the one who's managing this, before they can upload. All right. Or before this document be accepted. Sweet. So here in documents, right now, anybody can simply go to documents, click new, and create a folder, upload something, create a Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Visio, and so on. So right now there is nothing going on. So how would I do this? Well, gladly speaking, there is an app, part of the Power Platform from Microsoft, called Power Automate. And if you click on that waffle menu here in the upper left corner, um, you simply can go there and then click on Power Apps, or click All Apps and search for it, or also click on Explore all your apps and simply locate not the Power Apps, um, the Power Automate, right? So that's what I'm looking for. So click on Power Automate. Again, you should have it because this is a free license. You don't have to pay for it. As of now, as of the time I made this video. So this is Power Automate. It is a powerful tool that allow you to automate a lot of processes. I mean, a lot of mundane, repetitive tasks. Maybe that you get emails from multiple people, you know, asking for similar stuff. So, is there a way that you can automate and uh, reduce the amount of communication needed for a certain business transaction to happen? So, in this example, we have a simple example. Somebody want, for example, to share a document or a manual on a site, on the department site or a shared site by multiple parties. So you can think about other things that you probably want to do. Cool things before I dive into how to create a simple flow or business flow or a simple process. here you can see there. What I like about the Microsoft is they provide quite good material that you can, you know, rely on yourself and teach yourself. I go to these documents, manuals, videos, and watch them all the time. They're pretty good. So, for example, here, how to automate business process with using Power Automate. This is how to automate business process with robotic process automation and Power Automate for desktop. Improve business performance with the artificial intelligence builder. Improve business performance with AI builder. Quite a few stuff that you really can use in your organization. Talking about security and governance, for example, and so on. So many stuff to look at. Honestly, I would highly advise that, for example, every week or so, you look at one of these and try to learn something that you can employ or apply in your organization. Right. So here, this is the home screen. We have approvals. I'll talk about it later on, but there is my flows. And this is the flows that we're going to create. I just create this kind of testing with. So um, ignore this. Maybe in your end, if you never use Power Automate, you will see nothing. And there's a desktop version. We're not going to talk about it. And there is shared with me, and shared with me. This is if somebody's sharing um, a process with you, right? Or a flow, data flow, or a business flow with you, right? There templates. Those are really powerful templates that can really help you a lot. And you can use these and then modify them accordingly. You can see, for example, here, run sentiment analysis on tweets and push results to a Power BI data set. That's pretty powerful, you know, especially for those who work in marketing. You can use a connector to connect to a Twitter API and then apply some sentiment analysis and then, you know, visualize that sentiment analysis using Power BI, um, which is the dashboard and the reporting application in the Microsoft Power Platform. Data driven alerts, for example, down here. Um, So send an email for new tweets about a certain keyword. That's I think this is very interesting. Um, there are quite a few here. If you look at, for example, notify me and store the response when a student complete a quiz. If you work at school, for example, right? Um, Upcoming calendar events to email you or email your colleagues, the people you work with. There are quite a few interesting, and they're quite a lot. So you can see they're also categorized by different, let's say, categories. And there's the top picks here. So, for example, here, start an approval when a file is added to SharePoint. So that's the template I'm gonna start using. Right? And you can see this is the number of people that use this, 75,557. So it's quite popular. I'm sure that if you use SharePoint, this probably a problem that you have that so many people upload to SharePoint, and then some of the stuff that they upload is, let's say, doesn't add a value and make the site, I don't want to call it useless, but it kind of information overload, right? Now, here's something interesting also. Analyze email sentiment with AI Builder and then send results to teams. So if you see here, for example, you have different icons. So this is for SharePoint, Microsoft Office. Gosh, I forgot what this is called, but and this is Outlook. So those are the application we're going to use. Now, another thing worthy of mentioning is connectors. You can use connectors to connect to those uh, automated processes to different type of data, as I mentioned. You can also connect it to your Dataverse that we talked about previously, the tables that you created, and so on. You can monitor different flows, and there's the AI builder um, and the creative solutions. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is simply click on create. Now stay on the task, and I'm gonna use the template that is start and approval when a file is added to SharePoint. Just gonna show you how easy is this. All right, so any kind of, let's say, so any kind of like cloud flow or business process, um, it has to start with some kind of a trigger, right? So here we have the trigger is coming from SharePoint. So somebody would upload a file on SharePoint, and this will trigger different actions. Now here at the bottom, you'll see that the flow will connect to the different apps. So it will connect to Office 365 users, approvals, to Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and SharePoint. So the power of this um, Power Automate, it really brings different applications that or different services that your organization using all together. It goes across these different solutions. I think that what makes it powerful, that they're not used as silos. The information and the triggers and the transactions can go from one to another. Now you can see, or you notice here, it's I have it all the permissions given. So maybe if this is the first time, or you see there is an error in trying to connecting to one of these, you might need to sign in with your UW OSH email, right? You have to see them all green. So if you don't, just make sure to fix that error by signing in and giving the needed permissions. All right, hit continue. Now it's asking me multiple things here. First, the SharePoint site to monitor, the site that I just created, and you will create one on your end. Call it something different. Maybe use your first name, underscore something. The SharePoint list to monitor, if there's a list. So first of all, I'm not gonna use a list, or maybe I'm gonna use a list. Let's see, because this is a mandatory option. I first want to show you how you can start with, let's say, uploading a document, and then we'll try to use lists. I think lists are are also interesting. Folders to monitor if there's any, and the groups that will be assigned to approval. So I'll assign it to myself. You will assign it to yourself. So you will upload a document or create a document, and then you approve it for yourself. But you guys get the point. That will be somebody else, subordinate, another colleague, somebody you work with that might need to upload a document to a site that you oversee, a site for your department or for unit or for your group or your team. And then that has to go through you for that document to be uploaded and shared with everybody. All right, so for the site, I told you I took the URL, it's here. I literally copied it when I created it just a minute ago. And sorry for that. Let me close that. Here, I'm gonna add a custom item, and this is the URL. Now, if you can't find the URL, it is straightforward. This is my SharePoint site, right? If I click on ISORG_test, this is the URL. So yours will be the same thing, uwh.sharepoint.com/sites/ for example, for yourself, but your first name underscore last initial. So that is fine. All right, so I have that address here, so I hit OK. And now what I'm trying to monitor. So let's see the options I have. I'm gonna simply select now documents. So documents, and if you don't see it, you can simply add it as a custom item and then type documents. There's no folders here. I just created this site. So under documents, there's no folders. But again, if you're doing this for your work, it might be a different case. So um, modify it accordingly. Now select users or groups. I'm gonna simply, add my name or add my email. Once I start typing it, my name should show up. The same on your end. Again, I'm not using the incognito mode in the Power Platform that we created in a previous assignments. This is the one, the UW Oshkosh. I'm using my regular Chrome, Google Chrome, and this is my user, the Oshkosh user. Right, so you should have something similar on your end. Right, so this is done, and again, this is a free, so this code is not paying extra for this license, and I explained that before. Other things that we did need this additional license that our campus doesn't have. Right, so you hit create. I'm gonna skip the edit in advanced mode for now. All right, so here I'm just gonna click got it. It's all good. Now this is my flow. Um, Not much here to really go through. Connections, make sure the connections are correct and fix them if they needed to. I mentioned about those different apps that the Power Automate has to connect to get this business flow or cloud flow, sometimes it's referred to, or the business process um, working correctly. You can also hear, this is something interesting to improve the flow, your different business flows. There, you can use different, let's say, services to get some insights and maybe remove some bottlenecks or do other things. But this is slightly outside the scope of what we're trying to do here. I'm not trying to make this too complicated. Just a simple example of how you can automate some of the tasks um, at your organization. Right, so hit edit on the top left. And then this is the power. I mean, this is the beauty. Let's not use power because the whole thing is called uh, Power Apps or Power Automate and so on. So the beauty of this is that this template saved you a lot of time. And those templates, there are plenty of them, and most of them are being used in big organizations. Um, so built on best practices, commonly used business flows, and so on. So you can leverage these very easily. So let's see uh, how this flow works. Well, first of all, when a file is created, right? I'm not gonna go too much into the details. So site address, this is site address, the library name. So if somebody creates a file in documents, I'm not gonna go through the advanced options. I mean, feel free to explore if you want. And then the second part will get my profile v2, which is it's gonna keep it the default, the mail. And here, create an approval, right? So you can see here, approval type, approve reject. So it's kind of standard approval reject. And then in the title, there will be review new SharePoint file. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, review new SharePoint file, and it will extract the file name. So this is a variable. This will, whatever you're gonna create in a later on as a document, it will extract the name of that document from SharePoint and add it over here. So that's also the beauty of Power Automate, is that you can extract a lot of information in a dynamic way. And then assign to myself. On your end, it will be you. And then here's some of the details. So the folder path, where the folder is being placed. So it's in documents, but if you have other folders and stuff like that, give you the path, who was created by, and who's that person email, and then the time that it was created, a link for the document, and description. Now you can modify these, but for now I'm gonna keep them as is. Now we have two options here. If this flow was successful, then it will go to the left, the dark one, the black one. Now the dotted red one, this if something happened in the flow and it was not successful, then the person who created that document, who will be you, but talking about in a hypothetical situation where somebody else is doing this, they will get an email address. I'm sorry, they're gonna get an email. So this was pulling their email address. This variable is pulling their email address. And they'll get a subject, create an approval action failed, and then give them a reason or whatever. The text here, you can modify it. And then we'll terminate the process. Now, if it was not a failure, it was a successful, then it's gonna go to the other branch. So the other branch here what we're gonna do is we'll use Teams, and I think this is pretty cool. So it will use Teams and also send you an email. So there will be a flow bot, sort of like a robotic thing that will send you some kind of communication to approve it or not. I personally speaking like Teams because you can use this instant messaging on it. It's for me, I feel it's friendlier than let's say emails. So I personally like this a lot, but you're also gonna get a copy in the email. I'll show you how that will happen. So you have the bot that will communicate with you, and then you will either approve or reject this document to be added to SharePoint site. Right, and here's the approval ID, and then we have conditions. So the conditions, either you would say yes, that you approve this document to be uploaded, and then inform requester of the approval. So through Teams, we'll let uh, the person who uploaded the file that the file was accepted to be added. If no, they will also get a notification of the rejection. Awesome. All right. So again, this is quite straightforward. Make sure to always save. Now we're going to test this flow, and click on the test here in the upper link, upper corner, sorry, the upper corner here, test. I'm gonna click on it, and then you have two options, either to do it manually or automatically if you already did it before manually, because as I mentioned, you need a trigger for this flow. So I'm gonna do it manually. I'm going to hit test. All right, now it's waiting on me to do an action. So to see if it worked now, perform the starting action, the trigger. So I'm gonna go here to SharePoint and simply gonna click new. I'm gonna just upload this Excel sheet or create this Excel sheet. I'm simply gonna name this Excel sheet test. Right, and you saw that I got notification using Teams, right, from the Power Automate bot. And here just type test, and simply gonna close it now. Now let's see. So this is Teams. This is the Power Automate. I was testing it before, so ignore the previous messages. It says that Yazan via Power Automate requested, date created this book.xlsx. So an Excel sheet, added to SharePoint and under documents, created by this guy at this time. Do you approve or reject? All right. So I hit approve and I can add a comment. Whatever. Thank you. Submit. All right. Once this submits, now because I'm the person who submitted as well, I get notification that Yazan has approved your new document to be added to the site. All right. So again, in a normal situation, this will be two different people, right? Awesome. So now let's see. This is the flow. So a document was created or file was created, and then creating an approval. You saw that message, and then there was a communication and asking to approve or not approve, and then finally there was a condition. Yes, it was approved, and the document was added. Awesome. Now, what about if you want to do something more interesting? So, sorry, before I finish that, just make sure that you take a screenshot of this, right, to show that your flow is successful. Make sure that your user showing up, that environment is under the Wisconsin. I mean, and if you have this at work, this is totally fine. But just I want to make sure that this is your user, and you take a screenshot to kind of prove that this works. This is quite straightforward. Might be helpful. Maybe started this motivated you to start about some things at work that you can do this um, type of, like, let's say, flows at work. So let me give you an idea that is very common. Well, first of all, this is my site, right? IS.org test. It's my SharePoint site. What you can do, for example, here is to create a list. And then you can start with a blank list, modify accordingly, but I'm going to use some of the already existing templates. I love starting with templates that are already built and I modify it. Why would I reinvent the wheel? It's so easy to just use something somebody already built and test it, and I just need to tweak it and modify it according to my need. Again, this is my way of viewing thing, my policy, if you think about it. All right, so there is expense tracker. This will record all your expenses in one place. And there is a travel request. So let's do the travel request. It's very common in organizations that if you travel, that then you can submit the receipts or the airfare and other type of expenses to your organization to approve it. So I'm gonna use this, and you can see those are the different fields in this list. So travel request, um, so reasons for travel, blah blah blah. I'm gonna just hit use template. I'm gonna keep the name as is and hit create. Awesome. So now I have a new list. So this is, you can see the tab here, travel request. Right? And what will happen here is when I try to click new, I can put some information about my trip, and I want the same thing to happen. Now, instead of adding a document, you're submitting a request for a trip that you're going to do, and you want your supervisor or whomever, the financial controller, to approve it, right? Again, very, very common in so many places that employees have to do that. So instead of going and purchasing a very complicated software, wait weeks for IT, if you have an IT in house, to develop something for you like this is like literally you can do it in a few minutes and minimize the amount of emails that you might get for something like this. Because this is a recurring thing. You gotta get more emails all on a regular basis if the employees that people work with you have to come to you for approval for such expenses. So spending a few minutes trying to create this will definitely gonna be worth it. So let's go back to my to my flow, right? What I'm going to do here is I'm gonna go back and edit. And as you saw last time when I started this, is I choose the library name to be document, but now I have another option, which is the list I have created. So let me try to see if I can see this list. I can enter custom value because I don't see the list here. And what I'm gonna do is, this is called the travel list. I'm gonna just literally copy it from here. Hope that works. And put it here in the flow. So travel request. That will be the same deal. I'm not gonna modify. I'm gonna go back and modify it later on. I just simply said that for this site, when somebody submit a travel request, make sure to communicate with me through Teams. And by the way, let me show you my email. Here you go. So also you get Microsoft Flow. Microsoft, why they use Flow a lot? That was the previous name, and then they rebranded it. So you can see here. This is the email approval. You have been completed this request. Blah blah blah. Right. So you get communication from me. So same deal. I want also use Teams to get to approve this travel request. So I'm gonna hit save. Again, the same thing, same template. I haven't done anything. The only thing I change is the library name from documents to travel request. Now make sure that on the site, on the SharePoint site, that you have created this travel request because it's not there by default. So if I go back here again one more time, I clicked on new and I added lists and I chose from templates the travel request. So now I see travel request here. All right, sweet. Let's test it. So one more time, I'm gonna test. I'm gonna do it manually. I'm gonna hit test, and then it's waiting for me to start this action or a trigger, right? So let's go to the SharePoint. SharePoint is over here. Now somebody want to submit um, a request for travel. So let's say here, trip title. Let's say for me, traveling, oh, conference travel. Now you can add the reason for travel. I'm just gonna copy and paste it here. You know, again, customize this or personalize it, make it something that is yours. Maybe create information about a trip that you're gonna do or did before, and so on. All right, so who's the requester? You can add the requester. The requester is me, so, and I'm sending it to myself. Destination, you can add the destination. Panama. Let's see, Panama City Beach. All right, and so on. You guys got the point. The travel starting date, travel ending date, um, estimated airfare. So $1,500. Let's say hotel, estimated hotel cost. Let's say 750. Conference for 3 4 days. And then if it was approved or not, I'm gonna keep it as is. Attachment, maybe I want to attach, for example, the conference details, or if I have a paper that was accepted, I want to attach the acceptance letter, and so on. So the same thing. If you're doing this for work, you're traveling to do something, you can add whatever information you want. Now this was from template. You can always go and edit and add more fields. Again, the point of this lab is not SharePoint per se. The point of this lab is how to automate some of those business transactions or processes that route you using Power Automate. All right, so I'm gonna hit save here. Awesome. Now I can hit save here. Now let's go back to the Power Automate. And now you can see I got contacted again. Here you go. From our friend Teams, right? So the Power Automate bot communicated with me, because here you can see the file was created, which is the request, and went through the process. It did not fail, so it went to left. If you see your process fail, there's something broken. So you definitely don't want to see it going to the right, that red dotted arrow I just mentioned, right? This is no. All right, and then there is a timer because this might it will get expired. So it waited me to communicate back. So here, this from Power Automates, review new SharePoint conference travel, blah blah blah, and then would you approve or reject? I'm gonna reject this. Maybe it's too much to spend. This is not a great conference. We are a tight budget, so let's say reject and say sorry, we are on budget cuts. Trust me, I hear that a lot. All right, so I hit submit. And then I get the response back because I'm the one who submitted, say yes, an answer did not approve your modification. Sorry, we are on budget cuts. Now, you say the modification and stuff, so that text, the verbiage can be modified. So I'll show you quickly how to do that. But the process is working. All right. Now, let's say that you want to add more stuff because we use this out of a template, right? How can you tweak it to make it more meaningful? So when somebody submits something, right? When somebody submits something, for example, I want to show the amount, right? Where's that conference to show in the communication with the bot? So how can you do this? Quite simple. So here you saw that would create the approval, the title. So review new SharePoint file. So here can be changed. Review. We're gonna call this review. What was this? The travel request, right? So review new travel request. And then file name with. So instead of file name here, once you create new, there'll be trip title. So I'm gonna see if I can pull that here instead of file name to be trip title. All right, so here instead of, so once you click here on this text box, right? So you will see that it says file name with, right? So I can remove this. And if you don't see this menu here to the right, you can simply click on the plus sign and we'll add dynamic content, right? So here I will search for first for title. So this is the title of the travel request. So I'm just gonna add it to the let's say the title of the message. So request, let's say new travel request, and then whatever the title was. So if somebody adds conference travel, um, consulting travel, whatsoever, um, workshop, training, shop here in the title, right? So I'm not going to change the approval type, by the way, but I mean, I just want to say that there are other options. So you can see everyone must approve if there are multiple people and so on. So I'm just going to keep it the basic approve, reject, and the first to respond because this will be you. But there, let's say there were multiple people, like your, let's say, manager. If you're traveling, your manager has to approve it, and then, for example, the accounts payables or somebody in accounting has to approve it as well. So you can do that, and then you add their emails, or add multiple emails here. Now in the detail, you can see here, add it to folder path. So maybe I don't care about this message per se, but created by, so created by the person who created that message. It's totally fine. Let me remove the space here. And the email address, created time, this is fine. And here, for example, I want to add something more meaningful. Let's say um, airfare, right? So we said um, airfare, one word or two words. And let's say here, I want to add how much the cost of airfare, and then I want to pull that information from that list. So let me just show you that quickly. Here it is. So this is my SharePoint, right? And then if somebody would click on new, then here there's airline, and then estimated airfare, one word. All right. So then I will want to pull this amount, whatever that amount is. So airfare, and then here simply we'll pull from that SharePoint, we'll search for airline value, estimated airfare, right? So I'm gonna pull, it will pull estimated airfare, right? Now on the new line, cost of hotel, and the same thing here. I'm gonna search for hotel, right? And then he will be estimated hotel cost. And then what else I want to pull? Let's say these are information important. Travel start date, I guess. Destination. Let's say destination or travel start date. So I can put it here. Travel start date. Then travel start date. Oops. Sorry, and to put it here, travel start date. And then at the bottom, maybe so we have travel start date, cost of airline, cost of hotel. Is there anything else I find it'd be very important to pull in a message? Destination, right? It's a destination. So here maybe destination, and then destination. Let's say destination city. I don't know what is this option here. Destination. Oh, so it will break down the address. So let's say destination city will be fine. Right? So destination city. And what else? Maybe explanation of that thing. So maybe reason for travel. I think reason for travel makes sense. So travel start date, destination, reason for travel. And here I'll simply gonna put reason for travel. There you go. All right, so now that message got more meaningful. I'm just gonna hit save. I'm gonna test it manually one more time. So I'm gonna hit first. Let me put this here and put this here, and click on test manually. I'm gonna start testing it, right? And then here, let's say, what will be this? Training, reason, need training for the new information systems. Requester, it was me as an destination, maybe Dallas, whatever. Uh, Here, International Airport, whatever. And then a starting date. I put whatever starting date I want. And then um, the estimated airfare. Let's say the airfare is $2,000, maybe too much, $1,000, and then hotel, that'll be $500, right? So I hit save. So I hit save here. Now the training, I should get some communication through Teams if things are going correct. So now here, you can see that through the flow, it went through the first part, second part, third part. It's waiting for approval. All right. So now I see now here in the message, requested by Yazan, review new travel request training. And then here, travel start dates, blah, blah, blah. Need training for the information system, cost of airfare, cost of hotel. Do I approve or reject? So now I hit approve, right? Have fun. Hit submit. And now the person who submitted that will get the response, which is me again. Yes, Answer has approved your creation training. Comments, have fun. Right. Pretty cool, huh? So make sure that you know, add teams if you don't mind. So what we will have to do is so the first screenshot is for the workflow. The second screenshot show the message if you don't mind. It's too busy. Right here. I want to see that you know at least how to modify the message. So you created, and the first one was um I mean, you don't have to do it twice. Just do one of those. So workflow for the adding a document. It takes a screenshot of the workflow showing it everything is green and working correctly when you test it. And then another one for a list for a travel request, and then modify the message fields so it'll show, you know, those cost, reason, blah blah blah, and then submit it and just you know, take a screenshot showing that it worked correctly. All right, folks. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you know, this will bring some will open your eyes to new possibilities using the Power Automate that you will enjoy, or you're trying to you know, automate some of those processes, or at least make them more efficient, even if they're already automated, without the need to go and spend a lot of money on off-the-shelf application. This is something that you can create by yourself, even if you're not a technical person, even if you're not a developer per se. I think it's quite straightforward. The templates are pretty powerful. There's a lot of training material that Microsoft provide you with. You know, if you have questions, if you're trying to automate some processes at work, I'll be happy. You know, if you reach out to me, I'll be happy to help you, consult you, or consult with you about certain things that you can do. Some of the best practices, some of the things that I saw when you know, I work or with some practitioners. Um, you know, I'm passionate about trying to make things as efficient as possible. You know, for me, reducing amount of emails, for example, and trying to, let's say, automate things is definitely favorable, especially when you talk about a big team in a virtual environment. All right, thank you guys for listening.